Hey, folks, good evening and welcome to another episode of Phantoms and Monsters Radio. Thanks for joining me. I want to welcome all new members to the channel as well as first timers in the chat. Now, I'm going to start off with a brief account submitted by a reader. Senor Lon, I have read your newsletters and blog for many years, and I'm very fond of the stories. I must tell you that in the early 1995, I was a witness to El Chupacabra attacks near Canovanas, Puerto Rico on 2 occasions. In the second attack, I caught sight of El Chupacabra killing a large dog in a field behind my father's workplace. It was after midnight, and I was there helping him get extra work done. We heard the dog growling in the background. I went to look and saw a 4-foot-tall thing, very ugly, that had never witnessed before. The dog was keeping its distance from this thing when suddenly it leaped and attacked the dog. It took only a few seconds as it ripped the dog apart. It never made a sound. I quickly ran into the shop and told my father what I saw. He had a pistol and walked out to see what was there. The only thing that remained was a badly mutilated dog. I was sure it was El Chupacabra. There was talk of this creature for several days. He looked like a weird man in distant shadow, but had a lizard head and hairless dog body up close. The large dark eyes were very strange, and he used his teeth and long claws to rip apart the dog. I have read recently that many researchers consider this to be a legend, but I will state that it is completely a true creature. Those sightings outside Puerto Rico and South America I feel are bogus and maybe just dogs. But thank you for your time, Samuel. Now, folks, I ask you, what do you believe the El Chupacabra is? Well, let's get started and find out together.
Of phantoms and monsters. They exist among us, and sometimes they win. Even the devil was an angel once. The world has its own rules, and these rules are not human. Some of us seek answers to the origin and existence of cryptids and the unexplained. Join us as we venture beyond the known and accepted boundaries. Welcome to our nightmare. I think you're going to like it.
Now, the legend of El Chupacabra, translated as the goat suckers, began in about 1992. When Puerto Rican newspapers El Vocero and El Nuevo began reporting the killings of many different types of animals, such as birds, horses, and its name implies goats. At the time, it was known as El Vampiro de Moca, since some of the killings occurred in a small town of Moca. While at first it was suspected that the killings were done randomly by some members of a satanic cult, eventually these killings spread around the island, and many farms reported loss of animal life. The killings had one pattern in common. Each of the animals found dead had 2 puncture holes around its neck. Soon after the animal deaths in Puerto Rico, other animal deaths were reported in other countries such as Dominican Republic, Argentina, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, El Salvador, Panama, Peru, Brazil, the United States, and most notably Mexico. Both in Puerto Rico and Mexico, El Chupacabra gained urban legend status. Chupacabra stories began to be released several times in American and Hispanic newscasts across the United States. The Chupacabra is generally treated as a product of mass hysteria, though the animal mutilations are sometimes real. Like many cases of such mutilations, however, it's been argued that they are often not as mysterious as they may appear at first. Descriptions of the physical appearance of each specimen can resemble descriptions of other specimens or differ from other descriptions. These creatures' different incarnations are described in detail, which make it impossible that these different descriptions are a result of conflicting perceptions. Therefore, the Chupacabra may be different species or several breeds of one or more species. Although they have different appearances, Chupacabras are typically 3 foot 1 meter or taller. They are roughly humanoid in shape, as they are bipedal with 2 arms and are described as otherworldly creatures. Usually, Chupacabras are said to appear in 3 specific forms. The first and foremost, a lizard-like being appearing to have leathery or scaly green-gray skin and sharp spines or quills running down its back. It stands approximately 3 to 4 feet high and stands and hops similarly to a kangaroo. In at least one sighting, the creature hopped 20 feet. This variety is said to have a dog or panther-like nose and face, a forked tongue protruding from it, and large fangs. It is said to hiss and screech when alarmed, as well as to have a sulfuric stench behind. The second variety appears to bear a resemblance to a wallaby and a dog standing on its hind legs. It stands and hops like a kangaroo, and it has coarse fur with grayish facial hair. The head is like a dog, and the mouth has very large teeth. Now, the third form is simply that of a strange breed of wild dog that is mostly hairless, has a pronounced spinal ridge, unusually pronounced eye sockets, teeth, claws, but it's otherwise a typical canine. This animal is said to be the result of interbreeding between several populations of wild dogs, though enthusiasts claim that it might be an example of a dog-like reptile. The account during the year 2001 in Nicaragua of a Chupacabra's corpse being found supports the conclusion that it's simply a strange breed of wild dog. The alleged corpse of the animal was found in Jalapa, Nicaragua, and forensically analyzed as a Yunnan Lion. Pathologists at the university found that it was just an unusual looking dog. There are very striking morphological differences between different breeds, from which wild dogs generally descend. These can easily account for the strange characteristics. Now, some reports claim that the Chupacabra's red eyes can hypnotize and paralyze their prey. The prey animal is mentally stunned, allowing the Chupacabra to suck the animal's blood at its leisure. The effect is like the bite of a vampire bat or certain snakes or spiders that stun their prey with venom. Unlike conventional predators, the Chupacabras suck all the animal's blood and sometimes organs through a single hole or 2 holes. So before I go any further, I want to mention that this channel is made possible by you clicking on the subscribe and like buttons, and by you sharing our program. Super chat and super thanks donations are appreciated. You can click the dollar icon located below the chat box. The Buy Me a Coffee link is also shown below. And again, I want to thank my moderators, Bernadette, Marla, Thomas, Mike, and Bettina. Now, if you're in the chat and you have a question, please use all caps. I'll try to get to each one after my presentation. So this next account. A man is camping with his dog near Naples, Florida. After leaving the dog out, he hears a loud yelp. He sees an unknown creature hunch over the lifeless dog and discovers it's void of blood. He writes, "Hello, sir. I was RV camping with my Irish wolfhound, Marty, last summer, 2022. We were in an old camping ground outside of Naples, Florida. Marty wanted out around 10 p.m. that night. Not long after I let him out, I heard a loud yelping from the swamp. I immediately flooded the area with my handheld spotlight, calling out to Marty. That was when I saw an unusual creature's eyes that glowed brilliant orange red. The creature was brownish brown, 2.5 feet tall bipedal with several foot long spikes on its back. It was hunched over Marty, sucking the blood out of his neck. It screeched at me and ran off. Now, Marty's neck had 2 fang marks as he lay lifeless. I heard another scream nearby, so I picked up Marty's body and headed home and to the 24-hour vet. The vet said he had never seen anything like this before and confirmed that Marty had been drained of blood. He mentioned El Chupacabra from his home in Puerto Rico, but said he had never seen one and thought it was a myth. Is El Chupacabra real? Do you know of any instances where they have killed pets or people? I read that they are called goat suckers and kill livestock for blood. Could they be an alien species? Well, these are all very good questions. We simply just don't know what these supposed beings are. Now, the origin of El Chupacabras began, of course, in Puerto Rico, as I said before, with many witnesses stating that they would appear after UFO sightings. Now, since the 1960s, the phenomena has been said to occur throughout Latin America, and some people claim it also exists in the United States. Now, I'm not convinced that this creature is real, but I do receive a lot of reports to this day. So, in this next account, a ranch administrator is alarmed by noise emanating from a goat barn. Now, when he arrives, he observes an unknown creature that he describes as a bug. He now believes that it was a chupacabra. Hello, sir. I don't know if you were aware of this incident from the spring of 2018. The event affected all the inhabitants of a ranch located in the town of Las Cedrales, Paraguay, in the department of Alto Paraná. The cold nights forced the inhabitants of the Manila ranch to shut themselves up early, but the tranquility broke at around 9:30 p.m. on that Saturday night, when the guardian of the establishment, a little dog, would not stop barking. The administrator, Francisco Molinas, came out to look at him with his rifle and flashlight. He went to investigate the reason for the alarm towards the place where the sheep slept. I went to look behind the shed and I saw one of the largest sheep lying on the ground. There I found out that there was every wound in the neck. I shined my flashlight in the corner and there was the bug with red eyes. It was brownish in color. In total, the bug killed 6 goats. Now, the man reacted to the initial scare and said, I got 3 shots with my rifle. I shouted to my son, and he brought my 9mm pistol, which hemmed the animal about 70 meters out there. Just when he stayed, I emptied the magazine of my gun in 16 shots. Then I hit him with the line, and there he turned around and came straight to attack me. I reached my son and my partner, who brought the shotgun. The bug did not run so hard, and they put him against a volley of shots until he got into a little hill on the ranch. We looked for him everywhere. We wanted to hunt him to show people this monster. I did not believe this before, but now that I've seen it, I know there's a chupacabra. Now, I went back and to see if I had a record of this event in 2018. I found a slight mention of it, but there's very little additional information available. Now, this next account, a teen boy who is visiting his family in Galante, Puerto Rico, has horrifying encounter with what he called El Chupacabra. Do these entities exist? He writes, in 2003, I was visiting my family in Puerto Rico for the summer. I was 13 years old at the time. I'm currently 26. Now, I don't remember exactly what day it was, but it was shortly before the end of the vacation. Now, as I recall, it was around the end of June 2003. I spent the night at my cousin's house in Guavate, Puerto Rico, watching movies and playing board games. We had the front door wide open with the storm door shut so the air could get through the house. At around 1:30 in the morning, my cousins, my sister, and I were getting tired. My eldest cousin, out of the 2, turned to me and asked me to go shut the front door. I begrudgingly obliged, and I headed to the door to shut it. The next minute of my life would change me forever. I was a skeptic and didn't believe in anything paranormal I had called, example, Sasquatch, aliens, etc., until this point. As I went to close the door, I caught a whiff of something horrible, one of the worst things I've ever smelled in my life. It was at that point that I decided to look outside. I saw a large figure just 3 to 4 feet from the door, just off the porch. Now, the porch was about a foot off the ground. This creature was taller than me. I was 4'9" at the time. It was at least 2 to 3 inches taller than me, and it was on all fours, although it looked as if it could stand on its hind legs. The creature was grayish-green in color with dark, thick hair covering most of its body. Now, as the hair got closer to the crown of the head, it got thicker and coarser. It was almost like porcupine quills and came to a messy point. Its front limbs were spindly, almost the same size as mine, but much longer with 3 fingers. Its hind legs were like those of a grown man and slightly toned. From what I could see in that 1 minute, its hind legs, limbs seemed to only have 2 digits. Its head was bulbous, and apart from the thick hair on its crown, was only covered in very thin, lighter colored hairs. Its mouth was like that of a cross between a chimpanzee and a dog. Its lips were like a chimp's, but the mouth came to a small point like a dog's. I could see 2 rather large fangs protruding from its mouth, which were slightly agape. The most haunting thing about this creature's appearance, though, were the large oval-shaped eyes. They were about the size of large oranges, but with an oval shape. They were an insane amber color and shone like nothing I've ever seen, yet they seemed almost empty and dull at the same time. I could hear it breathing, softly, but gurgling at the same time. I was frozen in place for what seemed like forever, but it could have been longer than a minute because I remember my cousin saying, "Well, that was fast." Once I snapped back to reality, I slammed the door shut and locked it. Now, at that moment, I ran off and I could hear it start to move outside in the gravel of the lawn. I then heard the bush rustle. I went straight to my cousin and my sister, panicked, telling them what I saw. Now, none of them believed me in the slightest. They would soon change their minds as soon as they themselves would have experience similar to mine with different entities. As I stated before, up until I saw this creature, I was sure that nothing existed out there. In my mind, there were no cryptids or aliens or even ghosts and demons. Those things didn't exist and were just crap to me. Then I had this encounter, no longer than a minute, and my whole life changed. I was now a believer. I want to try to find others who have seen this creature or creatures that bear striking resemblance. I want to know just what the hell I saw, and if anybody else had any encounter as close as mine with the same entity, or at least one of a kind. I strongly believe that there are more than one of these in the world. And as I previously stated, I don't know what it was, but I often refer to it as the infamous El Chupacabra, only for the lack of a better creature to call it. I can't think of anything else that, to my knowledge, fits this creature. So therefore, that's what I'll call it for now. Now, the following sightings were originally documented and reported by Puerto Rican journalist Jorge Martin, who is also a Phantoms and Monsters 14 research affiliate. Albert S. Rosales included these accounts in his humanoid archive. And most of them are pretty brief. Saltos Cabra, Puerto Rico, middle of March 1995 at night. 2 anonymous police officers responding to a call about some lambs found mutilated at a local ranch saw standing on the side of the road a strange 4-foot-tall creature described as humanoid in shape, orange-yellow in color. The officers did not see any facial features since it was dark. In a quick, sudden move, the creature ran to its left and into the thick brush, disappearing. When one of the officers attempted to follow the creature, he was overcome by a sudden headache and severe dizziness and had to be assisted by his companion. Albert stated that this case appears to have been the beginning of a so-called Chupacabra epidemic. Also, January 1995, the Pitahaya case was significant. The dizziness experienced by the witness is very significant, also since it appears that the humanoid exerted some type of control over the witnesses, indicating a very interesting display of intelligence by this bizarre creature. Now, this next account happened in Orocovis, Puerto Rico, March 26, 1995 at 6 in the morning. Jaime Torres was standing watch in a ranch area looking out for reported UFOs in the vicinity when he noticed, perched up in the branch of a large tree, a short humanoid creature with large hairless head. It had two large slanted eyes, a small mouth, and a pointed chin. The creature had long, thin arms, ending in four long, thin fingers or claws. Its legs were a little thicker, but also had four claw-like appendages. The witness also noticed that the creature's skin was apparently of different colors. That included gray on the facial area, maroon, purple, and yellow. Now, as Torres watched, the creature made a strange gesture, slightly turning its head to the side and at the same time emitting a low buzzing sound. Now, at that moment, Torres felt a sensation of sleepiness and dizziness. He was able to overcome the feeling in time to see the creature jump from the tree and run into the woods. Now, this was also reported by Jorge Martin. Another account of Orocovis, Puerto Rico, March 28, 1995 at 1700 hours. Also from Jorge Martin. While the investigator was in the area searching a wooded section, another man saw a 4-foot creature that had climbed up halfway through the trunk of a tree. The creature was described as having smooth gray skin, no hair, and a round head, and a dark face and thick torso and thick short legs. It also had long, thin arms ending in four thin, long fingers. The creature suddenly ran into the brush and vanished. Now in Saltos Coli, Puerto Rico, March 30th, 1995 at 22:25 hours. Margarita Torres had been watering some plants with a hose in her backyard when she noticed, standing some 75 feet away, a short 3-foot tall creature. Now, the entity had large round head. It was thin with long, thin arms and also had large black eyes. Its skin was gray in color. The being had stepped out of the woods and was now walking up to a nearby hill. The witness stood transfixed, unable to move an inch. As they were being moved away, Mrs. Torres was suddenly able to move again and ran to get her husband. Both now went to look for the creature and found it hunched over looking at a nearby bull in the pasture. The bull had apparently noticed its presence and was acting nervously. As the couple neared the creature, Margarita began screaming hysterically, causing the creature to run very fast into the woods and vanish. Now, the following account was forwarded to me in 2010. Now, Chupacabra had been crawling all over Chile in the last few months, raising many new questions about this mysterious creature and resulting in astonishing claims about its origin. It stands 3 to 4 foot tall, has a flexible row of spines down its back, eyes that glow red, and long, sharp fangs. Some even say that it has wings. This is how eyewitnesses have described the strange, unworldly creature known as El Chupacabra, Spanish for the goat sucker. The creature, as elusive as Bigfoot and as terrifying as a demon, earned its name from the way it kills its victims, mostly farm animals, including goats, by sucking the lifeblood from them. Now, Chupacabra first made the headlines in 1995 when several attacks were reported in Puerto Rico. The small island still claims the greatest number of attacks to date, but slaughtered chickens, ducks, goats, cats, dogs, and other small animals have been attributed to the Chupacabra in Mexico, Central America, South America, and even parts of southern United States. And during April, May, June of 2000, however, there were reports of a spat of attacks coming out of Chile. The mysterious deaths of farm animals followed the same pattern as those in Puerto Rico and other countries, and the descriptions from eyewitnesses who claimed to have seen the creature in Chile matched the hideous features detailed in previous accounts. Now, the animal victims had incisions in their throats and their blood had been sucked out. Blood-curdling sounds were heard in the dark. Now, the stories that came out of Chile, many reported in Chilean newspapers, had an incredible twist. A few of the dreaded creatures, they said, were caught and killed, and then there were bodies taken away by representatives of the United States government agencies. That was the claim anyway. So the attacks began, and the attacks began in April, and the newspapers carried stories of the mysterious deaths of close to 200 goats, sheep, chickens, and rabbits in northern Chile. At first, the deaths were blamed on packs of wild dogs, but one trademark feature of the killings turned the suspicion onto the legendary Chupacabra. The respected Reuters news agency reported that some of the animal victims had incisions in their throat and their blood had been sucked out. The report also said that detectives swept the zone with night vision equipment and that blood-curdling sounds were heard in the dark, causing residents not to venture out. Now, Victor Espinoza, an investigator for Chile's ecology department, was said to have had hair samples and footprint casted for examination. He said that the paw prints did not match those of horses, cows, goats, pigs, felines, or wild dogs, Espinoza said. And according to Dr. Sanchez Osea of Miami UFO Center, Espinoza also said that the evidence shows that the animals walked on two legs and only attacks hot-blooded animals and not snakes or lizards of the region. So in late May, early June, rumors surfaced that 3 of the creatures had been captured. Reports chiefly by Maricel Campos Massa of the Chile's EFE news service and by Joseph Tranyor of UFO Roundup in the United States, among others. The stories claim that 3 of the creatures have been caught in the desert near the mine just north of the town of Calama. In the struggle to capture the chupacabras, they said one Chilean soldier had been killed. The Chilean military allegedly would not discuss the matter. Now, more bizarrely, after the little monsters had been held in an army barracks for several hours, a team of NASA representatives arrived by helicopter from the United States, which closed the local airport, according to one story, and took these creatures away. How it was assumed that these people were from NASA is unclear, as is where the notion from that NASA that the U.S. Space Agency would have jurisdiction over such matters if it were fact. Residents of Calama and nearby communities continued to blame NASA for the apparitions and the attacks of the mysterious chupacabras, Massa reported, which had killed many farm animals in the region and other parts of Chile. Their bodies completely exsanguinated and undevoured by the mysterious predator. It was said that the captured animal was kept all day at the regiment's barracks until NASA experts arrived to take it away. So why NASA? Some residents believe that the deadly chupacabras are the result of some diabolical genetic experiment going awry by NASA or some other U.S. agencies. The gringos had at least 3 genetic experiments run away from them. One respected Chilean architect was quoted as saying, it was not disclosed how he would come upon such information. Now, it seemed El Chupacabra was not pleased with having a few of its kind carted away. A new rash of animal killing started to occur in early June. In the backyard of a home in the port city of Talcahuano, 14 chickens were mysteriously slaughtered on June 4th, and Chupacabra was blamed. A few days later, the newspaper Diario El Sur ran a story about another attack in the city of Concepcion. The strange case took place around 4 a.m. when Julio Reyes and his wife, Carmen Andrada, were still sleeping. They suddenly heard a loud noise coming from the home's backyard, a kind of small farm in which they had a hen house and a garden containing tomato, potato, chocolate, and pepper plants. The light outside the hen house was on. I saw the monster flapping its wings fiercely while the hens were crowing, something that they never do at the time. That's when I saw the little white one running toward the back. At this time, Bobby, the family's dog, came out to look, but when he saw the back gate through which the hens had fled, he refused to follow and remained standing still. He then ran toward the street gate and began barking, explained Carmen, who did not witness the events herself out of the fear that the intruder might be a burglar. Bobby became sort of dopey and turned back. He didn't dare go forward, Bolio said. Around 7 a.m., the couple discovered what had transpired. In the very rear of the backyard, which could only be reached by crossing 2 gates, their hen house, their 3 hens, and their 1 rooster were found dead, completely torn to shreds, as if they'd been ripped open at the chest cavity and scattered 10 meters radius. It's worth noting that the house's entrance is a gate covered with chicken wire. Now, Chile's national police blamed the attack on wild dogs, but Reyes did not accept that explanation. Based on Bobby's, the owner was not satisfied with the explanation, given the difficulty a dog would have had to getting into the area. Also, Reyes said that he had previous experience of dogs attacking his chickens, and they took the chickens away one by one to eat them. They did not slaughter them in this manner. So 2 days later, another report was called in to the local radio station. The caller from the city of Antofagasta claimed to have seen the Chupacabra. He said he was awakened by strange noises his cat was making. Now, when he got up to investigate, the creature saw him and took off at high speed. He claimed that the Chupacabra had literally destroyed his car by making deep scratches in it with its claws, and it then killed the cat. Certainly, this is not the last time we'll hear of Chupacabras. The attacks might die down in Chile, but the nasty little creature will surface again, somewhere else. It might be a good idea to keep all your goats and chickens securely locked up. So, folks, that's all I've got for now. Let's get to the questions. Josh, Lon, any incident in Arizona that you're aware of? Well, I've heard of what people consider to be chupacabras. A lot of people in the United States, and I'm talking about Arizona and Mexico, Texas and such, they see these kind of bluish dog-shaped creatures with little hair, if any. They do have fairly large fangs, but they seem to be genetically a cross between a Mexican wolf and a coyote. There's a lot of sightings of those, and there have been several of those killed now. But those are the only incidents I know of in Arizona and other areas. I mean, these creatures, when they do find them, look just like these what they call blue dogs. Race fan. Wait till Lon asks a question, put them down. Okay, got it. Appreciate that. Okay. The supposed chupacabras seen in the U.S. are not the same as what was seen in South America. What people have seen in the U.S. walks on 4 legs, and on 2, they're called blue dogs. That's exactly what I said. And I appreciate that. Yep, that's what people have been seeing. And there have been some pretty decent investigations of those creatures. So, and I mean, for the past decade, 15 years. So, that's what people are saying. And genetically, that's what they turn out to be, these cross between the Mexican wolves and coyotes. So, folks, we got any other questions? Race fan, have they been seen with small wings? I have heard the wing thing before. Now, I don't know. I don't know if those are bipeds or quadrupeds with the wings or what the deal is. I don't know. I mean, I have heard of it, and there have been some mentions of it, and I did mention one account. But I don't know. I don't know what people are actually seeing. I mean, especially now, look, down in Puerto Rico, and look, I've had a lot of accounts come out of Puerto Rico. A lot of them directly to me, people just having some strange things happening around their farms, around their homes, even in residential areas. There are areas, specific areas in Puerto Rico, especially in the rainforest areas, thick rainforest. El Yunque is one of them, where there's a lot of UFO encounters, and there are some otherworldly creature encounters as well. And that's a lot of times that's where these El Chupacabras end up being shown up, or where there are mutilations happening. Now, Jorge Martin has supplied me with several accounts over the years, and he still does the investigations, and he's actually looking into several accounts right now. You can find his Facebook account, Facebook profile, where he does report on these. But like I said before, he's an affiliate with Phantoms and Monsters 14 Research, and he has supplied some very interesting accounts to me in the past. Sir Wolf, hi Lon, do you think these creatures come from the depths of the planet and sometimes come from the surface? I don't know where they come from. It's just like any other cryptid. These interdimensional beings, are these, do they hide so well in caves in the underground that they just appear at certain times to feed? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. I don't see anybody really having any proof as to where they come from. And of course, Dag Nabby asked, where did the Chupacabra originate from? And I don't know where it originated from, but like I said, the first reports did come out of Puerto Rico, and they have spread out through all Latin America. So, but it's usually associated, in particular in Puerto Rico, with UFO sightings and other strange activity that just seems to pop up. And that's when people really start to, the reports start to ramp up. Now, Jose Sanchez asks, could the Chupacabra be a mix between a rake and a primitive canine wolf species? Now, when you're saying rake, I assume you're talking about crawler humanoids or whatever those creatures are. I guess it could be, but anything's possible. The descriptions overall, especially with the spikes or long rays that run down its spine, are quite unique. I don't know any species on Earth. According to the drawings and some of the accounts that I've heard over the years, that even comes close to that. So are they genetically altered in some way? Are they extraterrestrial? Who knows? Alexis Chastain, have there been any sightings in the southeast part of North America? Yeah, down in Florida. There have been in Florida. I did read one from Florida. And of course, and again, we're talking about on the Gulf side of Florida, where there's a lot of UFO activity. And of course, I've talked about that before, that these creatures are seen occasionally, but very rarely in Florida. But we do get a few reports. Now, are they actually elk chupacabras or are they something else? Well, that we just don't really know. Can Squatch, do any Native American tribes have chupacabra connections? You know, quite frankly, I don't know of any. I really don't. If there would be some connection, the tribes I would think would be either, I don't know, Seminole, maybe Comanche, going further west, going into Apache or Navajo. I really don't know, but I don't know of any. That is an interesting question. I don't know if there is any connection there. Dagnabbit, the dog nabbit. Chupacabra resembles a pukwudgie, hunchback humanoid covered with long, sharp quills. Yeah, maybe. They seem to be a bit smaller. And, they're kind of associated with the Bridgewater Triangle and areas up into New England. But who knows? Maybe they are associated with it. I don't know. Luis Philippe, what can be the ideal chupacabra habitat? And I guess anywhere where it can hide, where it can feed, and not be messed with. I would say the rainforest and the jungles in Puerto Rico are perfect, and of course that's where a lot of them are seen. El Yunque is a national forest or a territorial forest or provincial forest or whatever it is in Puerto Rico where a lot of sightings are actually seen. Karen Rastatter, where in the world do you believe the most sightings have been reported? Well, Puerto Rico is probably where the best sightings and where most of the sightings, and there seem to be continued sightings there in Puerto Rico. Of course, now there have been some in Mexico, but I don't know if the sightings in Mexico are actual chupacabras or blue dogs or some type of other canine. I kind of believe it may be some other type of canine. Sir Wolf. Are they usually associated with the smell of sulfur? Thanks. Very rarely I've heard that. I've also heard ammonia. I've also heard even a garbage smell like that of a Bigfoot or something else. I mean, I guess it varies, but I've heard different ones. But then again, we don't really know if there were actually chupacabras that people were seeing. Jose Sanchez, they may be genetic ET experiments just the same way there may be suspicions about the rake also being one. Yeah, it's a possibility, I suppose. How much of this stuff is actually hidden from us and it's real. It's a lot of speculation, a lot of conspiracy theories behind it. I keep an open mind about this whole thing. I really don't know if El Chupacabras is a real being, though there does seem to be some pretty convincing reports that have come out of Latin America over the years. So who knows? Dog Nabbit, could the chupacabra be an alien pet? It could be alien. I don't know if it's a pet, but it's alien. I mean, it could be alien. Absolutely. Jose Sanchez, Puerto Rico is also associated with a high UFO sighting coincident connection. Yeah, there's a connection, I believe. I think that the sightings are connected. I would have to say, from some of the accounts I've heard and some of the abilities these creatures have in moving around, I don't think if they do exist that they're natural. There's something about them. It's just not natural, supernatural. Luke Shanahan, hello, Lon. Could they be connected to the same beings as the Vargiana incident of Brazil? Those beings for that incident look very much like chupacabras. And that was a UFO incident, and people stated that they were alien beings. Yeah, they did look alike. Especially with the large orange type eyes, and a lot of them were bipedal and such. So, yeah, there could very well be a connection. Karen Rastetter, have there been any significant reports out of Europe and where? I don't know of any in Europe, quite frankly. No, I don't. I guess it's possible, but I haven't heard any. So, folks, I want to thank each and all of you for watching and chatting. And if you donate, it's truly appreciated. Your support's what makes this possible. Please like, subscribe, and share. Now, if you have a sighting or encounter report that you'd like to be considered for the Personal Reports show and are posted on Phantoms and Monsters, feel free to contact me at lonstrickler@phantomsandmonsters.com. So until we meet again, please have a great weekend, and we will see you next Friday night. And to stay safe and enjoy the weekend. And I'll talk to you then. Take care.